Hello, welcome back to Retirement Clarity Radio. I am your host, Scott Newhouse. Thank you to the dozens and dozens of listeners listening. I appreciate you being here. We are going to take a brief detour from our retirement income series, which will continue next week, to talk about a topic that I've been asked about quite a lot, which is what is financial planning, what is retirement planning, and how can this benefit me? It's a really great question, so I wanted to put this episode up so people can listen to it. To help us answer that question, I'm going to be introducing a case study where I'm going to talk through a hypothetical couple on how they engaged in the financial planning process, what outcomes they were able to experience as a result of it, and why it was a good investment for them to get going in this process. Now, big disclaimer, as a financial services company, I am unable to provide testimonials. And so that's why I created this case study. It's not based on any specific client, but it is based on the types of things that I take clients through when they work with me. So, all that said, let's get into the case study of Elvis and Priscilla Presley, my favorite musician. They are approaching retirement age, but they're not quite sure they're ready for retirement. So let's learn about their situations, the questions they had, and how they were helped by working with the retirement planning expert. So Elvis has been working hard his entire life. Ever since he graduated high school, he's been quite successful at making money. His wife, Priscilla, she's been the one raising the kids and making sure that Elvis's spending stays in check so that they can save and invest adequately. Because of their teamwork, they've accumulated a significant amount of assets in addition to having most of their mortgage paid off. In terms of their net worth, they've done really well. However, as they approach retirement, they still have a number of questions on their mind, and Priscilla lays them out quite well. She asks, have we saved enough? Should we change our investments as we enter retirement? To what? Are there unknowns out there that could cause problems in the future? Things that we don't know that we don't know? Are there things that aren't even on our radar? How do we lower our taxes now and in the future? And what else do we need to do? And so these are the questions that were on Priscilla's mind. And since these are really important questions, and because they want to retire the right way, they've decided to work with Scott Newhouse and Forthright Finances for their retirement planning needs. Now, disclosure note, I did not actually get to work with Elvis, although, man, I wish I did. He really needed the help. So while Elvis and Priscilla were initially cautious about working with the financial planner since they never have before, they really appreciated the thoroughness and consideration of Scott's questions and how he would listen to what they were saying and why it was important to them. After getting their financial information organized with Scott, they were able to have engaging and thought-provoking conversations with Scott where they could clearly identify their financial and retirement goals. And so after allowing Scott a few weeks to put together a plan, they met with him to discuss his recommendations. In the conversations with Scott and in his recommendations, they were able to discover a number of things that significantly helped bring financial clarity. And here's a list of all of the things that they were able to accomplish through this hypothetical scenario. Elvis realized he's ready to call it quits from his stressful job and would like to do that sooner rather than later. As a couple, they realized that there are a number of items they'd like to do together while they are still in good health. You might call these bucket list items. They also discovered that they have not adequately diversified their tax buckets, something that no one has ever told them about. Yet they are reassured by Scott that it isn't too late to do something about it, and the important thing is to start working on it immediately. They now know how much income they can realistically withdraw from their investment accounts, as well as understand how to maximize the longevity of their portfolio. So now they can create a retirement paycheck, quote unquote, based off of this number. Next, they reallocated their investments so that they're properly structured for 40 years of income generation as opposed to 30 years of accumulation they had been working on previously. And that's a really important point. We all know to spend less than we earn and invest the difference going in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, but there's not as much information on how do we generate a retirement income, which I know we're talking about in this series right now, but that's a really important point, switching to income generation from our portfolio as opposed to accumulation. The next point they discovered is that their new investments now have a lower expense ratio, going from the industry average of 0.5% to 0.1%. So hypothetically, on $1 million portfolio, going from expense ratios of 0.5% to 0.1% would save them $4,000 per year, or $40,000 over the next 10 years. Next, they discovered how to lower their current year's tax bill, saving them hundreds of dollars. They also planned for an annual tax strategy that will help them pay a lower tax bill over the course of their lifetimes. So they now have some protection from the risk of rising tax rates in the future. Next, they determined the optimal time to select Social Security for each of them. Now, most people make mistakes on when to claim Social Security, which costs them tens of thousands of dollars over their lifetime. Lastly, they made a plan to pay for long-term care expenses, an expense that severely hurts a number of retirees. And knowing that they are prepared for this gives them tremendous peace of mind. So with this retirement plan in place and confident that their retirement income is sufficient, Elvis is finally able to call it quits and rediscover himself in this new stage of life. Additionally, Priscilla gets to enjoy being with her husband more, and they are both confident that they have the money they need to spend on travel and fun activities in retirement. Because of their relationship with Scott, they are confident that they can retire comfortably and enjoy the next part of their life on their terms. And so there we have it. That's the case study of Elvis and Priscilla. I hope that gives you a big outline of the things that I can do for clients, the areas that we would touch on, and how I might be able to bring value to your life. If you're interested in talking with me about going through this process, just go to startmyretirement.us. Emphasis on the US there. Startmyretirement.us, and then from that page, you'll be able to book a time for us to chat and see if it makes sense for us to work together. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks again for listening. As a reminder, you should consult with a financial advisor familiar with the specific circumstances of your unique financial situation before making any financial decisions. Nothing in this podcast is a solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. Any mentions of rate of return are hypothetical in nature and not a guarantee of future returns. Scott Newhouse, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Forthright Finances, a California and Nevada registered investment advisor.